All right, so we're diving deep today into something pretty amazing.
Okay.
The incredible ability our brains have to change and adapt,
Yeah.
which we call neuroplasticity.
Right.
And it seems like this has been piquing your interest lately,
Mm-hmm.
judging from the notes you sent over,
Yep.
titled Pasted Text,
That's right.
thinking about maybe starting your own podcast on neuroscience.
Oh, yeah.
Well, these notes are a fantastic starting point.
Yeah.
They're packed with information on how our brains actually rewire themselves.
Incredible stuff.
So we'll unpack exactly how all that works.
Absolutely.
What things can either help or hinder that rewiring process,
Yeah. That's important.
and why it's so vital for learning,
Mm-hmm.
for memory, and even for recovering from injuries.
Big implications there.
So first things first,
Okay.
what exactly does it mean for our brains to be plastic?
Wow.
It's kind of weird when you think about it.
It is a fascinating concept.
Yeah.
Think of it this way.
Okay.
Our brains aren't static. They're not like a computer with fixed circuits or anything. Instead, they're
Yeah.
constantly adapting
Oh.
to our experiences
Mhm.
by forming all these new connections between our neurons.
Okay.
Each new thing you learn,
Mm-hmm.
every skill you practice,
Yeah.
even your daily routines,
Oh, wow.
they all contribute to this like
Yeah.
dynamic rewiring process that's always happening.
So it's like our brains are
Yeah,
constantly reshaping their own internal maps
that's a great way to put it.
based on our experiences.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah,
This is fascinating.
I know, right?
But this isn't just a childhood thing, is it? I mean, like kids, their brains are like sponges,
Yeah, right.
soaking everything up.
It's true
Yeah.
that our brains are incredibly plastic in those early years,
Mhm.
but this ability continues
Okay.
throughout our entire lives.
Oh, wow.
We're always learning and adapting,
Really?
even as we age.
It's encouraging.
It is.
I like that.
And what's really amazing is that each time we learn something new, specific areas of our brains
Okay.
dedicated to that new skill
Mm-hmm.
actually change in structure.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Like, for example, studies have shown that
Correct.
learning a new language
Uh-huh.
can increase the gray matter density
Ah.
in Broca's and Wernicke's areas.
And those are...
Those are the regions of the brain responsible for language processing.
So, like, those areas of my brain that are dedicated to language are actually getting bigger.
Well, the density is increasing.
The density's increasing
Yeah,
as I learn a new language.
that's right.
Wow.
It's incredible.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
That makes me think about, like, learning a musical instrument.
Mm-hmm.
So is it the same kind of process?
It is.
Right.
When you're practicing an instrument,
Oh, okay.
you're essentially strengthening the connections between neurons
All right.
in the areas that are responsible for motor control,
Okay.
for auditory processing,
Mm.
and even memory. Each note you play,
Yeah.
each chord you master,
Mm-hmm.
all contribute to these changes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, like, I've always been impressed by people who can just pick up an instrument and play.
Right.
But now I'm realizing, like,
Yeah.
there's a whole lot of brain rewiring going on behind that talent.
A lot going on under the surface.
That's amazing.
It is.
It's not just about learning new things, though, is it?
No, not necessarily.
I remember reading that neuroplasticity plays a big role in recovering from injuries, like strokes.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
This is where things get really remarkable.
Okay.
In cases of brain injury, like a stroke,
Mm-hmm.
other areas of the brain can actually step in
Wow.
and take over functions from the damaged areas.
Really?
Yeah. And this is all thanks to neuroplasticity.
Wow. So they're compensating.
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
And that's why some stroke patients can regain lost abilities over time,
Huh.
sometimes to a surprising degree.
Wow.
There's even specific therapies,
Oh.
like constraint-induced movement therapy,
Hmm.
that leverage plasticity
Right.
to help stroke survivors regain motor function.
So it's like our brains have this built-in backup system.
In a way, yeah.
That's incredible.
It is pretty remarkable.
Constantly working to adapt and compensate for any damage.
Yeah, it's always trying to find a way.
So if this rewiring is happening all the time,
Hmm.
are there things we can do to help it along, or
Yeah.
things that might hinder it?
There are definitely things
Right.
that can influence how well our brains rewire themselves.
Like what?
Well, think of it like exercise
Okay.
for your brain.
Yeah.
Challenging your mind with new learning experiences, puzzles,
Okay.
or creative activities.
Mhm.
These all help to stimulate those neural connections.
So learning that new coding language I've been putting off,
Exactly.
or finally taking up painting,
Yeah,
could actually be giving my brain a good workout.
you got it.
Huh.
Huh?
That's a great motivator.
It is.
I like
Yeah.
that.
It's all about keeping your brain engaged and active. And don't forget about physical exercise.
Oh, right. Of course.
That's crucial too.
Okay.
But just like any workout,
Yeah.
your brain needs rest and recovery.
Okay.
Getting enough sleep is essential for
Right.
consolidating memories and allowing those newly formed neural connections to solidify.
So learning,
Right? Yeah.
challenging ourselves, and enough sleep were all good for plasticity.
Absolutely.
What about things that might work against it?
Well,
Yeah.
as we age,
Yeah.
there's naturally some decline in plasticity,
Okay.
but chronic stress
Mm-hmm.
can also significantly hinder the brain's ability to adapt and rewire.
Okay.
It's like having the brakes on your brain's learning capacity.
Okay, so stress is a no-go.
It's not ideal.
Got it.
Yeah,
It's important to note that plasticity isn't always a straightforward positive.
you're right.
I remember something about maladaptive plasticity
Mm-hmm.
in these notes. What exactly does that mean?
Well, you're right.
Yeah.
It's not always sunshine and roses.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the brain's rewiring can lead to negative outcomes.
Oh.
This is what we call maladaptive plasticity.
Well.
For example, phantom limb syndrome,
Yeah.
where individuals experience sensations,
Okay.
often painful, in a limb that's no longer there.
Oh, yeah.
It's thought to be partly due to maladaptive plasticity. The brain, in its attempt to adapt
Yeah.
to the missing limb, can end up misinterpreting signals.
Oh, wow.
And creating this false perception of pain.
That's a great example.
It is a powerful one.
It really highlights that plasticity, while generally beneficial,
Mm-hmm.
can sometimes lead to unexpected challenges.
Definitely.
I'm seeing a lot of potential podcast topics here.
I bet.
You could explore phantom limb syndrome in depth, for example.
Absolutely.
It's a fascinating and often misunderstood phenomenon.
Very true.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities, especially when it comes to applying this knowledge to help people learn and recover more effectively.
Absolutely.
But if our brains are constantly being shaped by our experiences,
Right.
what does that mean for us on a personal level?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
So here's something to ponder.
Okay.
Knowing that your brain is constantly reshaping itself,
Mm-hmm.
what choices will you make today to nurture that plasticity?
Right.
What new skill or challenge will you take on to rewire your brain in a positive way?
Good things to think about.
Keep diving deeper into the world of neuroscience.
Definitely.
And remember, your brain is an incredible, ever-evolving organ with immense potential,
Amazing potential.
waiting to be unlocked.
Absolutely.
Yeah.